We're going to continue with our isolation interviews today. We're heading to the TAB, and Chief Executive Dean McKenzie joins me. Dean, how are you enjoying the lockdown, and how busy has it been through this course?
Yeah, I think we're all learning how to adapt to working from home. So I wouldn't use the term enjoying. The combination of challenges and the challenges we've got in the business, and and the economy and in the country, and of course the business itself, and the time you spend on a phone and video conferences like these days is incredible for all of us. So it's certainly been a marked change, obviously.
Yeah, just tell us about the coronavirus and COVID-19 and the effects it's having on the TAB.
Yeah, look, I think they're out there for everyone to see. They're quite obvious, but and very wide sweeping for us as a business, as an industry. Obviously, we're not racing, but it really all started. It started in dribs and drabs for us in February. When we started to lose the odd Six Nations game, and the postponement of the odd Italian soccer game, and those types of things. So you could, the impact on the business traces back into February, but of course it was really the Thursday, I think it was the 12th of March, when the NBA was called off, mid-schedule, and that was, I think that next 24 hours is a period of time I'll never forget in the business, where we basically lost nearly a third of our business overnight. 27% of our business is sports betting these days, and of course that's growing, and the NBA represents 1 in 5 sports bets. So when that triggered, the rest followed, of course, the Major League Baseball and tennis and golf, and it's quite extraordinary when you see some of the events, and I think that illustrates the gravity of the situation and how widespread it is when you see Wimbledon cancelled, and the Masters being cancelled, and the Kentucky Derby into September, and Aintree, the national being called. I mean, there's just 1,000 examples that you could pull out that show the gravity of the situation, both in racing and sport. And when our business survives on people placing bets on sport, and there's none, or basically none. We've got Russian table tennis and Eastern Bloc soccer and whatnot, and of course esports, which thankfully we were able to do on the back of that of the Racing Reform Act from last year. But that's effectively it. The cupboard's basically dry for sports betting, and of course racing, when the domestic team was put into recess about 12 days ago, that was the next nail, if you like, and then of course the retail outlets and close the gaming side of the business all effectively closed when we went into lockdown. So retail marks for about 40% of turnover. So when you go into those situations, trackside, as you will know, has basically been run from home on a number 8 wire approach from the guys, which has been quite phenomenal to get for us who still enjoy a bet and like watching the racing that's on. Without that, we wouldn't be, we wouldn't have the Sky feed on a Saturday and be able to have a bet on the races from the championship this weekend and the like. So it's quite remarkable what's happened in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's quite incredible.
Yeah, well, when we're sort of seeing that that emergence of table tennis from Russia being such a high-profile sport, it does show just how reliant we are on that international product. How important has that Australian racing been to the business?
Well, it's critical at the moment. I mean, it really is. We've lost, about 75 to 80% of our available product. That's sport and racing combined. We even lost Golden Gate Fields this morning from North America. I think was Monday or Tuesday. So the situation's just evolving hourly. I mean, you and I, by the time this airs, it could be different. We could have, and Tasmanian racing, of course, last night, they made that decision. So Australian racing, certainly the Eastern Seaboard, where the key metropolitan meetings from Australia are run, on a Saturday and a Wednesday are our backbone at the moment, and bringing some cash in the door. We're still losing money, of course, but when that quality racing from Eastern Seaboard is still a stable diet on a Saturday afternoon or a Wednesday, it gives you some hope that that we can keep the wheels of commerce turning a wee bit longer. So every Saturday we've breathed a sigh of relief. Last weekend was good that we got through, and hopefully we can get through this weekend. And we just take it each day as it comes, but hopefully that product will still be there next weekend as well, because I think we're reasonably confident. I think you can build a case to think that we'll still have some racing on the channel. Obviously Hong Kong's kept going through the period, and whatnot. Singapore, I think WA have broken up into 8 individual regions to combat the spread of the virus there. But the transport of horses is still available from within those regions. So hopefully, WA can keep going as well. But the reality is once Australian racing goes on the eastern seaboard, the cupboard's pretty bare.
Okay, yeah. What about in New Zealand, though, Dean? So we're seeing, the state government level closing down Tasmania. Hopefully that does continue in New South Wales and Victoria. But what about in New Zealand? What can participants expect?
Well, I think the codes have done an excellent job communicating with their stakeholders. I think, during the week, I think, most participants have got a clearer picture as to, what the foreseeable future holds, and it's very difficult to predict that. That's the thing. I think anything that we are putting out as an industry at the moment has got a little asterisk above it, because no one knows. But we've got participants and our customers some kind of idea as to what the future does hold if certain things fall into place. Now, that's the big thing, of course, is certain things have got to happen, and domestically for us, level 3 has to potentially regionally, but level 3 is that next opportunity for us as an industry to go, okay, well, let's get back on our feet and get going again. And I think, collectively the codes have communicated that well, that obviously that one sport has some potential advantages over the other, and there's some different timeframes in that, and obviously they're subject to change. But I think at least we've got a clearer idea that if we get through to the end of the lockdown and certain regions or the nation goes to level 3, then we're reasonably optimistic, that there's a platform there and a pathway there for racing to get back on its feet and start the recovery, because, it's just not our industry. It's the whole economy, not just the national economy, but the economy. So it's one step at a time type stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, so you've been in contact with obviously these codes, but what does racing look like when it does return?
Out of every crisis, there's opportunity, and I think there's no doubt that there's opportunity for the industry coming out of this. And I think collectively as a group, we're all on the same page that we need to grasp that opportunity, and we need to examine every aspect of the business. And we've all had to do that and are continuing to do that on a daily basis. We've got to keep looking at our costs, and that doesn't finish today or tomorrow. That's going to be something that, as a business, every business is going to have to do that, and ours is going to be no different. So collectively as an industry, we have to get together and work together to make sure that we reduce our costs as much as possible, because of course if we reduce our costs, that negates and mitigates somewhat the decline in revenue, because the reality is for us, we're going to be no different coming out of this than any other business. People's behaviour patterns are going to change. They're going to the entertainment options and the pickup of entertainment options is going to change. Disposable income is going to come under pressure. So we've got to acknowledge that those things are going to be there. So we need to be working now, and are working now strongly together to try and come out with a plan that ensures that we are racing to ensure that we maximise profit, and that means making sure we increase revenue as much as we can, but at the same time we do it in a cost-effective manner. So I think the pathway for that coming out of that says that you don't need to be Einstein to work out what that means. Some of the key things that we need to do as an industry to make that work, and that I think the codes have communicated that clearly, that we'll be using less tracks, and that the tracks that we certainly use out of lockdown will be close to participants, close to horse supply, reducing travel costs and all those types of things. So that's ongoing. That work's ongoing at the moment, and the development of that, that post-COVID-19 calendar, racing calendar, is at full steam ahead on that now. And hopefully we can start to communicate some aspects of that in a little bit more detail collectively as a group, the codes and the the agency towards next week sometime.
Okay, you talked about cost reductions and things. What about the TAB as a body? What are you doing, and what's the TAB doing to get through this lockdown period as efficiently as possible?
Yeah, look, we've got to lead the way on this. We're the agency, we're the body where the revenue flow for the industry flows from. So we take that responsibility extremely seriously, and it's got to start with us. So we've left no stone unturned, and as of my earlier comments, it doesn't stop today or tomorrow. We've got to continue to look at every aspect of our business, and that started for us when we could see the impacts that you could see coming down the road, the tsunami of shite, as I called it, coming down the street as about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we started to reduce contractors, only started to use the salaried staff, and that's where we started. And of course, both the COO, Stephen, Henry, and myself, we agreed to, cuts to our own remuneration packages three weeks ago. So we were right on the front foot of this 3 weeks ago, and that's been followed by the board and the executive team. And we're looking at every aspect of ensuring that if people have got leave, that if they can take that helps the business. If they can look at shortening their working week while we work through the lockdown, all of those types of things.
Yeah.
Again, we've got to work together to solve the problem. And if we're not working together to solve the problem, we won't solve it. So, but I'll underline that this doesn't start and stop today or tomorrow or last week. This will keep this culture. We have to embed this culture into the future of New Zealand racing, because that's the only thing that will sustain us through the tough times ahead, and actually grow. So, it's not going to be an easy road, and I'm not certainly advocating that it's going to be, but we are fully embracing the fact that we have to run in the most cost-effective manner possible.
Yep. I guess one other thing that people are aware of as well is that July 31 deadline for the whole, the John Messara Report to be instigated, that is approaching, and it's obviously happening during a time when most of the country's in lockdown. How do we get that worked out during this period? And is it even something that's on the table, or where does it sort of fit with you now, Dane?
Yeah, look, it's clearly on the table. I had a long conversation with the Minister's office yesterday. I think that I can best summarise it at the moment. It's one of those things that no one knows.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows that Parliament's, effectively in recess. There's obviously major challenges for the normal business of Parliament to be conducted. That's all I know at the moment. We get a clearer picture. We'll obviously communicate that, because that is important, and a lot of the direction. We're lucky that we've got a long way through that process to where we are now. Things already alluded to. One, the ability for us to take wagering on esport that came out of the first part of that of the reform program for that the government initiated. That we're getting the benefits of that, and certainly we need to ensure that we're looking to continue with that process as we go.
Okay, yeah, and what about for yourself over these periods? I know it's non-stop video conferences and meetings and things, but you're getting a chance to sort of get out and keep fit and keep active?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a runner, so I don't think that part of my routine has changed much, but there's just a lot more people out doing it, which is actually good to see, because I think in isolation and what you're going through as as in a household or a business or you're a nation at the moment, I mean, exercise is good for the brain. So in that regard, it certainly keeps me going, that's for sure, as a cold beer at the end of the workday as well.
Exactly, and a bit through the championships on day one. You've done your form yet?
Not yet, Aidan, not yet. That'll be Friday night's job, but disappointing to see Melody Bow draw the outside gate, but I think the fact that she's carrying the number one saddlecloth, says it all. She's obviously high class mare, deservative of still being ranked a great chance and what is a great race. But yeah, it's won't be the same, I think, tomorrow for all of us that are watching, but it'll still be some damn good racing to take in, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you giving us the chance to sort of understand what's going on at the TAB at the moment, Dean, and keep up the good work.